You'll see, folks, actually, you'll notice the line right here. These are flipped. This is not accurate. Minus 240 was Ian Garry, plus 200 for Vicente Luque. And I think Ian Garry, though he's been the butt of the joke for all the social media stuff that's been going on, this is a, 13-0 sharp contender who has an opportunity to take out a former buddy, a former training partner, and rise up these ranks, enter the legitimate top 10, and a win over Vicente Luque is not child's play, AJ. This gets you places. This opens up conversations for bigger matchups to get you into the top 5. But Vicente Luque is no easy customer to get out of there. Do you think that we're a little too high on Ian Garry for this stage of his career? Or do you think that Vicente Luque, after a couple of bad losses to Bilal, to Jeff Neal, maybe, it's starting to go a little downwards in terms of the trajectory? What do you think?
I can see where you're coming from, Derek, especially because the names RDA, Jeff Neal, Bilal Muhammad, Michael Chiesa, Tyrone Woodley, Randy Brown, Nico Price even. I could keep going, but there's a lot of fighters that in that time period, heyday, right? You get a little reminiscent, you get a little nostalgic with it. But Ian Garry is that guy that's coming up from the ranks. And if there's ever a breakthrough moment for Ian Garry right here, it's against Vicente Luque. He's that name that is still in the conversation all the time. You're sitting there at the bar with your buddies. You're talking about one of the best welterweights or who's the best welterweights in the entire division right now. Vicente Luque's name is going to come up from the hardcore fans, and those are the people that can respect a win for Ian Garry right here because he's able to get it done. And, man, you want to talk about talent. You want to talk about new school bravado that comes to the game. Ian Garry is that guy.
That's it, man. And I'll say for Luque, I mean, he's the silent assassin, right? Because the dude doesn't talk. He just lets his fist talk for him. But again, you were a dominant figure against an older generation of fighter, and Ian Garry is a guy who is training everywhere. He's a nomad, so to speak, because he's getting kicked out of gyms left and right and all that good stuff. But I will say, if there's one thing that Luque kills me on, it's that I feel like he would go so much further in his career if he just used his grappling more, AJ. He's one of those guys who has such a high-level grappling skill set who instead will just box with you. And it's like, use your grappling. Like, mix it up. Make this a full-fledged MMA fight and take the easiest path to victory. But I think internally, somewhere deep inside, man, he just wants to I want to knock people out. I think that's the thought process. Ian Garry is going to be a scary striker, but we know his overconfidence comes to a fault sometimes. He almost got knocked out by Song Kanan, AJ. Vicente Luque cracks you. This is a different ball game that we're talking about. So when you look at the last couple of wins, Neil Magny, Daniel Rodriguez, how impressive was that one? He knocked out Daniel Rodriguez. Like that, you get a lot of points in my book for that one. Song Kanan, Gabe Green, Darian Weeks, Jordan Williams. It's not a lot to really say like you compared to Vicente Luque aside from Daniel Rodriguez. Again, I'm never going to not talk about how impressive that is. But look at the decision victory against Neil Magny. If you decision a guy like Neil Magny, can you finish a guy like Vicente Luque?
That was going to be my question, Derek. How likely is a finish in this fight if you're on the Garry side? I mean, it's there. It's a possibility. It's within the realm of reality. But if you're doing that against a Neil Magny, man, you're going to have a very, very difficult time putting down a stone that is Vicente Luque. The question comes, though, Derek, what happened in that training room? Is Ian Garry feeling a little bravado? Is he feeling confident going into this because he knows he can get that finish in this fight? I personally do not see a finish coming right here because I'm so high on Vicente Luque also. But it's an interesting one, especially when two old friends fight, man.
Well, this is my biggest thing right here. I think Garry has the momentum. He's the 13-0 prospect contender. He's got a lot of hype. A lot of people are buzzing about him. He's really skilled when you watch him fight. But if you try to fight for a decision win against Luque, I think you're going to lose. I think you have to go in with the intention of trying to get him out of there because Luque is going to come in with that intention against Garry all day long. He's going to say, "I need to get this guy out of here. I cannot let this go to the scorecards." And if you look at the amount of finished losses that Luque has had as of late, he's like one in his last 10, and it was just the one, Jeff Neal. That was it, and that was a matter of I feel like his mind was still there. His body just gave out on him, right? That was one of those where he got punched and he just fell forward, almost just like his body could not contain his, I don't know the right word to use. So this is actually a spot where, would you be surprised, AJ? I know these are inaccurate odds right here. Like I said, they're flipped. But if these were the actual odds, minus 240 for Vicente Luque, like, would you be like, oh my God, I need to be jumping on Garry there? Or would you say, makes sense?
No, that makes sense. And Eric, actually, in fact, when I saw this, until you pointed out that they were opposite, I was like, wow, like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because everybody knows Vicente Luque's name, and maybe not. Maybe people haven't gotten put onto the Ian Garry hype train. I would expect them to be a little closer if Luque was the favorite, and that's kind of the only eyebrow raise from me. But it makes sense, man. Vicente Luque is an iron that has been sharpened by iron consistently, and this is, like I said, the breakthrough moment that Ian Garry needs for his career.
That's right, man. And let's just take a quick look at Vicente Luque, man. Look at the takedowns. 8 takedowns against RDA right here. Like, beautiful. You love to see that, right? But you knew that was going to be the approach. But look at the stark contrast in all of the other fights, right? RDA is a guy that I could see you get the takedown. Is 155 or 170. He's not like a full-fledged, you know what I mean? Jeff Neal, there was no takedowns there. Bilal, no takedowns. Michael Chiesa, nothing. Woodley, nothing. I mean, bro, there's just like a lack of grappling just through and through. And you know he can do it. It's like he's shown it. He can do it. And if you look on the other end on Ian Garry, he took down Neil Magny, right? Like I said, he was like, what if he takes down Vicente Luque? And then he's like, I'm just going to chill out here, rack up points and all that good stuff. That is something in the arsenal right there, man. But if you look at everything else, the strike numbers, man, that's what stands out. Look at the strike differentials on all the fights. They're never close. This is the only one that was close. Jordan Williams, you know what I mean? He got knocked out, but they're never close. Garry is active, right? Volume guy, throwing him out there. So while I don't anticipate a finish, I do anticipate just being a busier fighter and racking up the win. So with that being said, take the money line, Ian Garry. Saddens me to say because I'm a big Luque fan, but I think that that's going to be the right call right there. How do you see it?
Absolutely sad to say that Vicente Luque, I'm not backing him on this one. Is it in the realm of possibility for him to get it done? Absolutely. I like Ian Garry. I like the momentum he's carrying right here, and especially with all the outside stuff going on in his life, he might be looking to punish somebody and release a little bit of that anger. It's going to be a very fun fight. I'm expecting a decision right here.
That's right, folks, and that is going to be your main card, UFC 296.